Um, okay, basically, they've asked me to talk about the benefits of solar energy. And the way I look at it, in Malaysia, even there was recently a hike of price in oil. It's only 20 cents. And there was, that 20 cents looked so big, as big as this, So it might be 20 cents, but when times, multiple times by the usage and by everybody's commitment to transportation and all that, it becomes a very big issue. And I think there is no denying that energy is really a big part of our ecosystem, our environmental ecosystem here in Malaysia. If you look at even our green rating tools, if you look at the Singapore green rating tools, they put a huge percentage on water, because water is really important to them. They're buying water from Malaysia. But for us, if you look at the GBI, be it any of the residential, non-residential tools, the highest percentage is always on energy. Because energy, to the average Malaysian, is actually what counts the most and what costs the most and affects your pocket, definitely. Here is a scale of energy growth. You can see the energy demand in megawatts here. This is the scale of energy demand. This is the years. I only had up to 2011. And this is the blue line represents economic growth. So what is worrying is that although our economic growth seems not to be growing that much, but our energy is on sort of like a consistent rise. But this is our growth. In 2007, we had a 5% growth, and we had a 4+% 2008, and it's been declining a bit, but around 4. Yeah, our economic growth, the official reported economic growth. Theoretically, you would seem to think that energy is pegged to economy and pegged to our activities. But looking at this, even if our growth is not that much, our energy demand still grows up. So what does that say? That says regardless of we're growing or not growing, our energy demand is increasing and increasing. That is why KETA was formed, in fact, because the government was worried that in 2015 we would be a net importer of energy. Now we have some extra energy to export, that is where your subsidy comes from. If you're enjoying some sort of energy subsidy for electricity or fuel or whatever, that is where the government takes a lot of the subsidies from, the extra surplus energy that we sell over, all the oil that we sell over. But according to the estimates in 2015, there would be our demand would exceed our usage. So we would have to start importing energy. And by that time, there is no way that we can support a subsidy, regardless of which government you choose or whomever politician you support. So, talking about solar, we cannot run away that it comes from the sun. The sun is actually a massive generator of power. The sun gives out about 400 trillion watts of power. I put that in words because the zeros confuse me. I think it confused a lot of people as well. So, actually solar power is very huge by definition. In physics, we know that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So essentially, even if you're using fossil fuels, you're pumping your car, you're actually using solar power. It's solar power that was distilled from plants millions of years ago, eaten by the dinosaurs, then in the dinosaurs, cramped by the earth, and you're utilizing it. So basically all our energy is solar power by definition. It comes from the sun. We are in fact sort of like children of the sun. I think that's why a lot of ancient cultures, they seem to worship the sun and so on and so forth. And when you come to think of this, our modern definition of solar is more towards photovoltaics, because our main form of energy consumption is electricity, and there are, if you look around the market, there are many kinds of solar panels, and some of them, if you use for water heaters and all that, they are not photovoltaics. They are actually heat gain solar panels. That means they rely on the radiation of the sun to heat the water, and those systems are not photovoltaics. So that's why we have a specialized term. We call it photovoltaics, PV. That means the sun's energy immediately is converted into electricity. Of course, you see this every day. You see this sometimes now. You have handphone chargers that do it. You have, of course, you have your buildings that do it. Yeah. But how does it actually work? Actually, it's the difference of the difference of capacity between two materials. Yeah. Most of the solar panels are silicon in nature. So what happens is that the photons or light actually hits the one part of the semiconductor, which has a different molecular structure than the other one, which creates a negative current, which creates a negative ions, and which makes the electricity flow. Because once you disrupt the number of electrons in the atoms, electricity will flow. I think it's far clearer here. This is the stable state, or so you can say, and these are the free electrons, these negative ones. When the sun hits the top layer here, the N layer, it will create sort of like a positive charge, which will attract the electrons to the P layer. So it creates a circular motion, and similarly, when you have that circular motion, like a dynamo thing, you will create electrical current. So that's basically how on actually micro level how solar panels work. Because a lot of people, just even here, I mean, we have a lot of solar people. They just show, oh, this is solar panel. It can't generate electricity. They never tell you how it works, right? Okay, system components. Oh, I should be spelling it. Basically, the system is very simple. Most of our solar systems comes from this layout. Solar panels, inverter, switchboard, electricity meter, electricity mains, and to the grid. Last time, it used to be very popular that solar use batteries to store energy. But as we all know, batteries are not that environmental friendly. They have a limited lifespan of 5 years or maybe 4 years, whatever, like your handphones and whatnot. And after that, you need to throw them away. So most of our systems today rely on feeding back to the grid. So selling off the energy to the grid. I'll talk a bit more about that later, about the situation here in Malaysia and what the government is doing. But basically, that is the way that the composition is now. The other things are actually to convert, because when the current from the solar panels are actually direct current, and the current for our supply or the grid is alternating current. That's why we need an inverter and all that, yeah, to transform the current. Because direct current, as you well know, is really bad at transmitter, long range transmitter, and that's why all long range transmissions use alternating current, like your homes, your office, so on and so forth. Okay, when we talk about solar energy, we also talk about solar potential. That means how good is your coverage, or which will determine your efficiency. So this is a map of Malaysia. This is annual average solar radiation in millijoules per meter square per day. Of course, the higher parts, the darker red parts are better, and of course the lighter ones are not so good. If you notice something nice here is that Sabah actually has a lot of solar potential, and that is why I think if you read the news, Sabah Energy Development Authority, they invested a lot on solar, because in comparison to the whole of Malaysia, they have a better potential. And I didn't bring the map for the world, but if you look at the world, our potential, although we are hot, we're not as good, because unfortunately we have a lot of clouds. So that cloud coverage actually limits the radiation that we receive. So in comparison with somewhere, for example, say California, yeah, it might seem cooler, cooler temperate climate and all that, but actually their potential is higher, because they have less cloud cover, and cloud cover is something to consider. Just something to consider, that because there's a misconception that says, oh, how come Malaysia is so hot, our efficiency is still not like 80% or whatever. But it's not about the heat, it's about the radiation that is received by the solar panels. Okay, there's a little bit about feed-in tariff. This is the current feed-in tariff as it is. So basically, feed-in tariff means that you sell back your energy to the grid. So these are the rates for the feed-in tariff that currently is published by SEDA. SEDA is the authority that controls all this, and they are under Qatar. So the generation itself is divided into something like up to 4 kilowatts, about 4 kilowatts and 24 kilowatts, 24 kilowatts and 2 kilowatts. Basically, the more you produce, the cheaper it gets, because this is to cater for small power producers, meaning that say I'm an entrepreneur, I want to do a power plant. I can't be getting the rates that the homeowners get. So they have done this so that they actually promote a smaller generation. The average generation for a household is less than 4 kilowatts. So if you were to, in your individual houses or terrace house, whatever, were to install solar, you would fall under this category. So you would get a higher return, as opposed to Mr. multi-million-dollar entrepreneur who opens up a solar farm, for example, in the middle of nowhere, and expecting to get huge returns. This is the rate they're actually paying half what the homeowners are paying. So in my opinion, the tariff is quite fair. It promotes micro generation, which I think is the next step in our energy security for the country. It also has some bonus FIT rates with the following criteria. Yeah. So users as installation in buildings or building structure. So basically, this all rewards building solar panels that are BIPV. We have a category of solar panels that are integrated into the building materials itself. For example, I'll show you afterwards, but these are usually like, if you have seen some that are integrated with the windows, they don't have a separate installation on top of the roof, Some of the roof tiles itself are solar panels. So if you do that, you can actually score some of these other points in terms of monetary gain. Yeah? Is it too small for some of you at the back? I see you squinting. Is it okay? Yeah, but don't worry. All this you can get from the SEDA website. Any changes, even there is a feed-in tariff quota that changes gradually. You can get it in real time on the SEDA website. This is just a statistic also from SEDA about the total renewable energy generation. And just to show you where solar is. So these are the renewable energy sources: biogas landfill, biomass. This is in megawatt hour. So we're talking about solar is still a very small percentage of, say, biomass, which is 158,000 megawatt hours, whereas solar is only now 18,200 megawatt hours. But still more than biogas and biomass. Small hydro, a lot of our independent power producers use small hydro, and it's 3 times more than solar currently. But there is a lot of effort on part of the government to promote solar. There's incentives as well. This is a fuel mix of generation from 2000 to 2010, just to show in generating your electricity. TNB, Sabah Electricity, that. What kind of fuel sources they use? Yeah. So you can see here that the most of it is still in fossil fuels. Yeah. Even though we have a shift, if you look at the whole country-wide statistic, you're looking at increase in coal and a decrease in oil because of oil prices increase, but still it's very dependent on coal, and solar actually fall under others, which is and you have seen the others just now. Those are the renewable energy, and it's such a small percentage of this. Just to give you a perspective, because I'm sure you have read in the papers the solar farms opening, like for example in Malacca, in Kedah, and all that. But still, that's a very, very small percentage of power generation. For large-scale generation, the efficiency, this is a typical solar farm sort of arrangement. I think if you go down, I think Malacca, there is a solar valley development. You can see all the solar farms, and roughly the area you need for 100 watts. 100 watts is this. One bulb is maybe 100 watt. Yeah. So 100 watt needs 1 meter square of roughly 1 meter square of solar panel. And of course, commercial panels are a bit more efficiency. It's all about the efficiency game. The better quality the solar panels. Some say it's the pricier the solar panels. You get better efficiency and all that. And usually the commercial ones, because they buy in bulk, they get a cheaper price and they have a higher efficiency. So I'm going to talk a bit about micro generation. Micro generation is individual generation. So we're talking about, just now we talked about having a solar plant, say catering for 10 megawatts, for example, or 5 megawatts. But you can have one house that can produce, say, 4 kilowatts, yeah, and can sell back to the grid maybe, I don't know, 2,000 kilowatts or whatever. If they're not using, they can sell the whole 4 kilowatts. So once you have many of these houses, the actual area itself acts as a sort of like a network. If you can imagine now network computers, now you can have a network power producer. Each house produces a small amount. Yeah. And this micro generation concept is a very popular concept now. It's not just about solar. It's about, I think previous speakers also talked about composting, and that has got to do with generation of biomass as well. That some people can burn biomass. So this micro generation, for a lot of countries, they are actually factoring this into their energy security. And I think our government is well on its way to doing that as well. We are looking at the Renewable Energies Act, which is about to be finished. The average home requires about actually it's not 4,000, it's 4 kilowatts. 4,000 kilowatts, like, it's big. But if you use that energy, it will be equivalent to taking 26 cars off the road for the whole year and planting 120 trees. What they are talking about is if you actually count the carbon offset of that act. So by installing this 4 kilowatt solar panels on top of your house, you actually as if you're taking off 26 cars. That's how impactful your effort is, you know, because the actual generation of cars is not that much, because you actually per day you use your cars how many times? On average, it's actually 2 times, going to work, sending somebody or whatever, and that is actually the energy usage of your car, or where the carbon is. But when you talk about a building, yeah, such as this, how many hours a day does it continuously use energy? Like a convention center is 18 hours, 12 hours. You know, your house, so your refrigerator, how long does it run? It runs 24 hours. Your air conditioning. So all that actually has a big impact. So when you calculate that back, and because 4 kilowatt can essentially provide for your whole house, that means that you're cutting out most of your house's energy usage. So imagine that, 26 cars. So those who are, you know, thinking about, oh, I want to save, I want to be very environmental friendly, I want to buy a hybrid, don't bother, because that it's not a good effort, but it doesn't affect that much. It's better to look at your household energy, because your household energy actually contributes more to environmental damage than your car does, actually. But you don't see it, that's why you don't realize. All the smog, that the coal burning is happening in some power plant in way off Port Dickson or wherever. You don't see it in front of your eyes. You don't see the smoke come out and dirtying everything. You don't realize. But in fact, that is the bottom line. The bottom line is houses, buildings, offices has more detrimental environmental impact. Okay, if microgeneration were to be more effective, it needs to be coupled with a thing called a smart grid. A smart grid is a technology whereby your whole distribution network is intelligent, so to say. So in your, for example, your house meters, there are microprocessors or sensors that the power company can monitor when is your peak, when is your off peak, you know, so that when during the day, for example, when all you ladies and gentlemen are going to work, of course your house, nobody's there. Maybe your solar panels or microgeneration is working at full force and producing energy, and maybe that energy is usually can be diverted to other uses like factories or offices and whatnot. So it balances out the energy load. This is very important because currently in our grid, the way that the conventional way of doing it is we calculate maximum peak. You know, the maximum load that the country will need, or that the state will need, or that place will need. So if you need that, like, you know, 100 megawatts, that is the maximum. So we need to build power plant more than 100 megawatts. But actually, if you look at it, that is the maximum. You can actually, with microgeneration and distribution of power, actually you don't need such a large power plant. You might need maybe 50 or 60 megawatts. So this smart grid technology is something which is essential to actually distributing power. And I think a lot of it in America, they have done a lot of smart grid cities. I think if you've heard of Mazda, there is one. I think there's one coming up in Kazan. Malaysia TNB has done some initial test runs, a few 200 meters, I think, somewhere in Bukit Bintang. But from what I heard, Melaka, there is some sort of test project for smart grid, the Smart Grid City 2030. But that is an overall view, because without this technology, whatever solar or whatever microgeneration is quite difficult to implement. This is just again some statistics. I don't know if you can see it clearly. There's an installed capacity in megawatts. This is biogas, this is biomass, small hydro and solar photovoltaics. So this, if you can see this blue one, is actually the target for implementation in 2012, and 2012 approved is the red one. So you can see that solar, the target implementation is 50 megawatt, but actually the approved and implemented is about 70 megawatt, 70.42 megawatts. The 2013 target is this green one. This is in megawatt again. The 2013 approved and implemented is 64. And this is of course the 2014 is not yet done, but this is the target. So every year they take about 50 megawatts. So this just highlights that solar is one of the few renewable energies that actually is very popular, very easy to do, and I think that is why it is very popular. That is why it always exceeds the targeted figures of the government. You see, if you look at, for example, biogas, they wanted to do 30 megawatts, targeted 30, but ended up in 2012 only approving and implementing 13.3, or in 2013 6.8. So not as popular. Okay, just a bit about the type of PVs, because I get this question a lot. I mean, like, why is that solar panel this way, and which is better and whatnot. So basically, when you look at PV photovoltaics, there is 3 basic types: monocrystalline silicon, polycrystalline silicon, and thin film solar cells, TFSC. This is just something I just quickly got off the internet from the implementations in Surya 1000. In 2009, the government of Malaysia had a program called Surya 1000 for small solar installations. So to say, it's very popular. There was grants for you to do your solar in your house and whatnot, or in your office and your factory. So just to show you that the interesting part is that look at these bungalows. There's a mix of everything. For example, in PTM, Pusat Tenaga Malaysia, Zero is zero energy office. I think look at there is poly, there is thin film, there is mono. So there is a mix of everything, but a lot of it, if you look at the bungalows, are using monocrystalline. Why? Okay, let's look at why. Almost 90% of the world's photovoltaics today are based on some variation of silicon. As you well know, just now you look at the 2 layers, both are silicon. The silicon used in PV takes many forms. So monocrystalline solar cells are made out of silicon ingots, which are cylindrical in shape, to optimize the performance and lower cost of a single monocrystalline solar cell. 4 sides are cut out of a cylindrical ingot to make silicon wafers, which that gives the monocrystalline solar panels their characteristic look. So what is this characteristic look is that if you look at any solar cell, which is like a clean type of solar cell with like one piece like that, is most probably monocrystalline. So these are monocrystalline installations, very typical on top of roofs, and sometimes now I've seen building products that actually have roof tiles that are integrated with monocrystalline panels. The advantage of monocrystalline is it's a very high efficiency solar panel. SunPower produces, this is for the US, but actually SunPower factory was in Malaysia. Monocrystalline silicon panels are space efficient since the solar panels yield highest power outputs. Monocrystalline solar panels live the longest. Most panel manufacturers put 25 years warranty on the monocrystalline solar panel. So it's very robust, and that is why most of the houses you see now, just bungalow A, bungalow whatever you saw in the list just now, use monocrystalline. Because if you are living in a bungalow or in a terrace house, whatever, your roof space is limited. So you don't think so. Even though it might be slightly cheaper to use polycrystalline, or film, but you don't have space, so you want the best efficiency, use monocrystalline. The disadvantage is that they are most expensive from a financial standpoint. If the solar panel is partially covered with shade, dirt or snow, entire circuit can break down. Okay, this is in Malaysia, most of the solar manufacturers or solar installers will give you a guarantee and maintenance contract. The Cholesky process is used to produce monocrystalline silicon, is resulting in large cylindrical ingots. Actually, the bad side of solar is actually the manufacturing process. It's a bit, well, it's not a bit, it is environmentally detrimental. So, you know, when you manufacture the solar panels, that is the part that is not so environmentally friendly, and that is the part that we try to mitigate. So, if possible, your solar panels should last as long as it should, because if you keep producing, like batteries for example, it would not be environmentally friendly. Monocrystalline panels tend to be more efficient in warm weather. Performance suffers as temperature goes up. Yeah, but I think this one is not an issue here. Most of they have the newer panels can perform well in our hot sun. Polycrystalline silicon solar panels. These are the first panels that were created. I mean, if you look at panels which have this funky sort of like crystalline shape, they are polycrystalline. Just now, it's just a flat color, flat shape. Yeah? So they were introduced in 1981. Unlike monocrystalline panels, they do not require the Cholesky process, meaning that producing them is a bit simpler. Hence, they are not that expensive. Just a few more examples. Just you can clearly see the crystal structures here. Okay, the advantage of polycrystalline is simpler and cost less. Simpler to make, as I mentioned. The amount of waste silicon is less compared to monocrystalline, because the process to make the monocrystalline just now is actually pouring one solid batch of silicon into one sort of like square, and that process is actually quite energy intensive. Polycrystalline solar panels tend to have slightly lower heat tolerance and monocrystalline solar panels. This technically means that they perform slightly worse in high temperatures. Hence, the non-popularity as well in Malaysia, because we are very hot. Heat can affect the performance of solar panels, shorten their lifespans, etc. The effect is minor, but most of them do not. The disadvantage, the efficiency drop is 13 to 16% because of lower silicon purity. The polycrystalline solar panels are not quite as efficient as monocrystalline solar panels. Lower space efficiency, as I mentioned just now. If you own a house, you want a maximum, right? So this is not the choice for you. Monocrystalline and thin film solar panels tend to be more aesthetically pleasing as they have more uniform look when compared to the speckled blue color of polycrystalline silicon. So this is basically the ugliest form of solar panel you can get. Lastly, the thin film solar cells. I think this is the up and coming technology. There's a lot of research being done in this field. A lot of new materials, material technologies. Just to name a few, can be categorized as these chemicals, substrates, amorphous silicon, cadmium telluride, copper, aluminum, organic photovoltaic cells. Depending on the technology, the efficiency is between 7 and 30%. The modules operate about 9%. Future module efficiencies are expected to climb close to 10-16%. So why this is the most research is because this is the one that has most potential to be integrated with buildings. So they actually, it's like a film, but it can generate electricity. And imagine if you have now you have your cars, right? You have that 3M film or whatever you call it, solar guard whatever. Imagine that can generate electricity. So this is technically what that is. So a lot of the buildings that have employed this look nicer. It doesn't look like, oh, it's solar panels. It looks like part of the building. And this essentially a lot of what we call as building integrated photovoltaics come from thin film solar cells. A lot of the newer high-end towers, say for example those who have really high green ratings, like I think it's the call it Bank of America maybe. There is they all incorporate this into the windows, yeah. And you from afar you think it's a pattern, but actually it's solar panels. And technology is getting better and better and cheaper and cheaper. The main problem with this is that its efficiency. The efficiency is quite low currently. It's about say half, 60% of the efficiency of the mono. So but current technologies are developing that can provide solar cells that can or equal the performance of the monocrystalline ones. So that's a bit about the whole picture of solar from generation, from the materials, how you use solar, the performance. And now I'm getting to the actual benefits, which is the title of the talk today. So I've like got these 10 benefits that I think most applies to, and afterwards maybe we can further discuss. Yeah, not much time. Solar is easy. I think that is one of the key benefits that people who want to go into some sort of renewable energy would want. It's not a system which is new. It's been in the market for like, longer than some of you have been around. So it's not something new, and there's established standards for that. It's very established technology with established players. People know how to measure things. People know the quality. You have like, if you talk to any electrical engineer worth their salt, they know about solar technology. And a lot of people are supporting it. Our government is supporting it. Even our FIT now, the form can just be gotten online, submitted online. So it's so easy. So the first benefit, I think, why you want to go to solar is easy. Yeah. And I'm not talking about big scale adoption. It's about talking about individual adoption. Second, solar is a secure investment. I think if you look at the banks, they are coming to realize this. They're coming to, if you ask for a loan to do some sort of solar installation, they are more acceptable nowadays than it used to be. And furthermore, unlike other power sources, the sun is a very consistent power source. So it doesn't fluctuate through supply and demand and so forth. It used to be an ROI of more than 10 years, but I'm just putting here a very, very optimistic ROI if you count in some of the tax incentives that have been given. For your information, if you use the GBI tool, there is a tax incentive under the 2010 budget for green. So if you cater all this into account, you can theoretically get these types of ROI. But for a normal user, you're looking at more than 10 years. But the fact is, when you buy and install a solar system, you're actually prepaying for power. Because once you pay off that solar system and the lifespan is longer than whatever 7 or 10 years, you're actually getting free power, or you're actually getting money from your sales via FIT. And which brings me to the next benefit, which is saving thousands and thousands of ringgit. According to preliminary calculation, adding solar panels to your home can bring monthly savings of well above 200 ringgit in many cases. Extend this to 2 decades, less than the length of a typical solar panel warranty, and this translates to over 30,000 on average. Two decades. Why? Because usually solar panel companies, they give 25 years of guarantee, or 20 years. this is a small calculation that we did, but not necessarily what you would need. So here you can see that if you have a 4 kilowatt solar retrofit system of 44,000, the times 1.307, this FIT rate, the system can generate theoretically 570, but this is a very optimistic figure, by the way. That's why I say most of the case you can say 200 you can get from the FIT, because this is not accounting for things like rainy days, days where there's no sun, there's cloudy, and so on and so forth. Okay, it's even better if you choose to pay cash. The payback period is very short if you don't take a loan, because you don't have the extra sort of like financial burden. And just bear in mind, our electricity now is subsidized by the government. It's still, although you think it's not subsidized, it's still subsidized. If you look at your electricity bill, it's not actually the actual cost of power that is being charged to you. Similarly to our petrol money, even though we feel that 20-cent increase is a very large increase, but actually it's hugely subsidized. And any of you who have traveled overseas, I don't know, go to the States or go to other countries, you will feel, unless you go to, of course, places where like Saudi and all that, which oil is cheaper than water, but in most of the world, which is not subsidized, you will feel the pinch of paying for a full tank of gas. And similarly, their electricity cost is very high. And as I said, once we become a net user of energy, we don't have extra to support our subsidies. You will also feel the pinch of your monthly electricity bill. So solar is one of the ways to mitigate that pinch. Another benefit is to increase your home value. If you put not just the value of your home, your office. How does this work? Is that because we see that in real estate there is a trend in, for example, now you have a house. Yeah, your house appreciates at a certain rate. But installing solar panels, you add an actual value to your house. That means you can sell your house for more. Saying that, oh, anybody comes here, they can enjoy solar power, your energy usage cost will be lower, and so on and so forth. So there is a premium for your sales, and now you can see this premium very, very clearly when developers start putting technology, green technology, and they start charging purchasers a very high premium for all these technologies, which is not actually supposed to be the way. By the way, it's just a small premium, but it seems that the market is reacting very well. People out, everything is sold out. Another thing is take advantage of the incentives. I think if you can do a proper 4 kilowatt solar installation on your roof or in your property, you can have sort of like a fixed passive income. You don't have extra and all that. We were talking to some parking owners. They were having, let's put solar panels on the top of our parking, because it's basically empty space. And a lot of the developers nowadays, they're talking about all their roofs, trying to sell the space of their roofs for solar. So it is take advantage of the incentives, because the government has a lot of incentives that want to promote this. As you can see, they save a lot by going into micro generation and all this. They save a lot by not bringing up new power plants and all that. Guaranteed performance. Yes, that is another thing that why you should go into solar. One of the benefits. Solar panel manufacturers include a 20 to 25 years performance guarantee usually. The industry standard guarantees 80% of performance after 25 years. So, is this industry standard, because it's a proven technology. Solar producers, it's very easy for them to guarantee, because everything is it's not prototype. It's not something which was created yesterday. It's a proven technology, but technology is getting better and better. But the real lifespan of solar panels is much longer. Your panels will likely generate a good amount of electricity 30 to 40 years along the line. So if you have a property, you might not even be owning the property in 30, 40 years, which of course you can sell your property for a premium with the solar panels. Okay, the eighth benefit is to create energy independence. I think I've been talking about this. It's our energy security for the country. We know by distributing the load, so to say, of the generation through micro generation, you actually help the country's security in terms of energy. And in 2015, as I said, according to EPU's studies, we will become a net energy importer if according to current statistics. So this is a really good consideration if you want to go to solar. Of course, among the top 10 benefits, of course, saving the environment. We know that majority of homeowners choose to go solar because it makes good sense from a financial point of view, as I've shown you before. That being said, the environmental benefits are also clearly worth mentioning. I think we all here having all this big trade show, all in support of trying to create a sustainable industry, trying to protect our environment actually. So the average residential solar system offsets about 100,000 pounds of carbon dioxide in 20 years. That is the equivalent of driving a car for 100,000 miles, which is a lot of carbon. Yeah? So when somebody because a lot of people think that hey, I want to save the environment, I'll buy a Prius, which is not actually the smartest way to go, because if you're still burning a car, it's better to just take public transport. But investing in solar is a step in the right direction. You offset a lot of carbon, reduce because household energy is continuous, 24 hours a day, you never stop. And lastly, why you should go into solar is government support. Everybody in the Malaysian government, I think, because they know that they're going to run out of energy, will support solar, will support all kinds of renewable energy. So Kertas, SEDA, BTM, etc., will support any solar installation, and a lot of the government vendors as well are very in tune into solar. Many state governments are also moving into green technology and greening their states. Even as I mentioned, Malacca and all that. Even Penang now, very, very strong on green. I think they are putting green as one of their topmost agenda for greening Penang, because they know that the bottom is not just about saving the environment, but also it improves their bottom line quite substantially. So it just makes economic sense for them. So there you go, green Penang. So that's the top 10 benefits that I've given you. So we have a few more minutes for question and answers. I think let's have some question and answers. Yeah, sure.
When I produce too much energy in my home, can I sell it back to Tenaga?
Oh yes, in fact, sir, before you came in, we already covered the feed-in tariff. But no worries. I could repeat that. There is a feed-in tariff rate. You can just go to the SEDA website. Bear with me because of this. There you go. So this is the feed-in tariff rates, which actually, as I mentioned before, rewards the small-time producers, which is 4 kilowatts and below, which you get the best rate, which is 1.13, which actually you can make profit from TNB. Yeah. Yes, sir.
What is the point of feeding in for the utility company if the energy cannot be stored? Is it a kind of storage or just distribution?
Can you repeat that question, sir?
I mean, if we are not using batteries for storing the energy,
Yes.
so what is good for the utility to buy from your excess energy?
Oh, okay. Well, as I mentioned before, the current way of looking at things is when you look at energy in a country or in a state or in a district, you look at the energy peak. Yeah. So usually the energy peak, say for example, 200 megawatts you need to run everything, factories, blah blah blah, offices. What the government does, they build power plants that can cater 200 megawatts, which actually is not the best way of doing things, because what actually you can do is these independent power producers, your house, your small office that produce power during the day, can cater for this peak. Say your independent power producers can produce 50 megawatt, so the government will only need to supply the existing 150. So that is how it actually benefits the whole system, the grid system in a way, and that's how you actually don't need to spend so much money on capex, because all of this is taken care of by small power producers. So it's not just about, it's about when the energy is used, because most of the time that 200 megawatts, for example, happens at one particular time. Everybody's using energy at one particular time, usually 9 to 10 a.m., 3 to 4 a.m. p.m. So those are the peak hours, but usually your household is not active during that time because people migrate from their houses to their work. So it's the distribution, as I said, distribution. There's no need for storage of energy because we constantly use energy anyway. So that's why we take storage out of the equation. Actually, there's no way that we can, even if we store, we will use it immediately. So why store? That is and storing in batteries is environmentally detrimental. So we don't use batteries anymore.
You mean to say there's no battery in the whole system? Because the other day they had an exhibition and they said, oh, you must have a battery there so that you can store the energy that comes.
No, currently we don't advise batteries use, because battery only in some places that what we call in the building industry as uninterruptible power supply, or UPS. For example, hospital, they have battery storage because once there's a blackout or no power, you need to shift to emergency power, which is from the battery. And then even then it's just for 5 minutes, because then the generators will kick in. And usually the problem with batteries as well is the lifespan of the battery. The battery has a limited lifespan of 3 to 5 years. Once after that, you have to throw away and replace the battery. So a lot of the solar suppliers nowadays, they just forgo the battery, because our places in Malaysia so far, so as we are concerned, the electricity supply is very consistent. That means you can get electricity most of the time. And nowadays it's almost unheard of that there's a power outage. Very, very rare. So in places where, in maybe remote places where you need batteries, of course you will have to use batteries, but generally speaking, we don't use batteries nowadays.
What if you have continuous bad weather and you don't get any solar power at all? So,
but we get the power from from the power plants, and the normal way that you get power now from TMB.
you still have to rely on that.
Yeah, it's connected with the TMB. It's not something separate. You are connected to TMB. Most of the time, if you produce more, you sell back. But if you produce less, you buy.
But how would you know? Do you have a meter?
Of course. The meter has a sell and buy. So it's not nowadays your meter at your house is one-way meter, we call it. So you only buy. But the next, if you are going to FIT, it's a buy and sell meter, and this rate is far higher than what you buy. So that's why I say. That's why they limit this to only 4 kilowatt hours, because actually you are selling at a much higher price.
That means that you can read from the meter how much power is coming in and how much is going out.
Actually, at the end of if you're in the FIT, at the end of the month there will be a bill It's like a plus what you have bought, what you have sold. Yeah, it balance off. Yeah.
I see. And what happens if somebody vandalizes your solar panels up there, you know, or some accident happens, you know, and it's damaged, you know?
It's like your house lah. If it's under your responsibility. It's not the power sub company's responsibility. So you invest in that. You have to take care of your. It's like you're taking care of your car, or you're taking care of your house, taking care of your pool or whatever. You have to keep it secure. If somebody vandalizes, then if there's insurance, then you have to repair.
Oh, it's covered by insurance, not by law.
No. There's no law.
You don't have a law say that, you know, you have a very heavy penalty for people who damage.
Currently, no, but that's not a bad idea.
I think it's a requirement in this country.
Yes, sir.
I'm a feed-in tariff approval holder.
Yes.
I also consider myself a solar activist in the
Okay.
sense that I've persuaded my neighbors and friends to take up solar.
From which neighborhood, sir?
I'm from Putrajaya.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but my bone of contention is that they can't do anything now, because there's no quota. So something has got to be done about this quota.
Yes. You're right. I think the quota issue has been a big issue. I think that's why I said just now, you can look at the feed-in tariff quota in real time on the SEDA website, but of course it's not enough, right?
Yes.
So what this gentleman is saying that because it's in the initial stage, they only limit selling to a certain quota. So anything excess, they are using the normal rate. Am I correct? So it's not so good lah. But I think this is something that the people, the rakyat, should give some pressure to the government lah. Because it's a matter of, you know, you sir have invested in this technology.
Yes.
You are promised this kind of feed-in tariff, and suddenly when you sell back, at a certain point they don't accept. So it's not janji tak ditepati lah.
Sorry, I came in halfway through.
Sorry, yeah.
I don't know whether you are from SEDA or from.
No, I'm from MGBC. We are an NGO for green buildings. So if I were from SEDA, I might have worded that differently.
Okay, never mind.
Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I do understand the moment you're saying there are three types of solar panel now.
Yeah.
I read through
General.
scientific journal. In fact, they already discovered that in fact invented another new type of solar panel, smaller, and in fact efficiency much higher. Do you think that if this case happen, let's say in a couple of years time, the present solar panel will be obsolete?
I think as I mentioned just now, what you're mentioning is the thin film.
No, it's not. It's
Yeah, but it is a derivation of that. Because the thin film nowadays, there's all kinds of materials already. Because everybody is trying to research that because it's the smallest capacity, the smallest
area,
yeah,
but very high efficiency.
Exactly.
So if such a case, what about those the bigger panel at the moment in the market? Will that be obsolete?
Yes, it will.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.